listening to The Authenticity Show, where you get to eavesdrop on great conversations about health, creativity, and the quest for excellence. Your hosts are Carlos Casados and Satch Purcell. In this episode, Carlos talks about his recent trip to Peru, including his work with a shaman in the Amazon jungle. Now, this is a real first-hand account of a shamanic tradition that still exists in our modern world, and it's fascinating. And we are lucky to have Carlos to go on these adventures and come back and share them with us. So here we go.
You know, we've talked about entheogens many times.
Reminder for listeners who maybe don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So an entheogen is a kind of a more modern term for a psychedelic that is respecting the idea that there's a tradition behind it that connects it with the bigger picture. It's not used necessarily as a drug for escapism, but as a tool for discovery and exploration. So the word entheos means to, like, in God, right?
God, yeah.
And gen, something that generates
Genesis,
it.
yeah.
So a substance that generates the experience of communing or connecting with God.
Yeah.
God can just mean the big picture or spirit or consciousness.
Yeah.
But that's why they chose the term entheogen rather than to refer to it as a drug or a hallucinogen, which kind of has more of a druggy kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
An abuse kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Entheogen is a friendly term that respects the shamanic traditions and the religious traditions that have used it for thousands of years.
Right.
So they have a lot of plant medicines there that they're fond of using, and not all of them are entheogens.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some of them are just, medicines that help you digest better, and
sure, just herbs
that help you breathe better. And I did a lot of those things.
Uh-huh.
But one of the ones that sounds like a more controversial one when you mention it to people, unless they've learned about it, is the coca leaf.
Sure.
And by coca, I don't mean cacao, which is chocolate.
Okay.
I mean coca.
Coca.
As in the plant that cocaine is made from.
Mm-hmm.
Cocaine is obviously made from a lot of other things too. I mean, they have to use various solvents and chemicals to refine it.
Right.
But the coca leaf by itself is just a pretty innocuous herb in the same way that tea is an innocuous herb.
Sure. I think it's got like 1% cocaine in it or something.
It's so incredibly low.
Tiny amount.
You're probably getting 1% cocaine when you have a couple of Coca-Colas.
Yeah.
Because that's in the original formula.
Right. Yeah.
But point is, I was really curious to try it because I remember kind of philosophically, as a fellow herbalist, I thought to myself, there should be nothing wrong with this. This is something that's been used for thousands of years, and they don't have any health problems from using it.
Yeah, sure.
And knowing that most fresh and green herbs have antioxidants in it, I'll bet you this has a ton of antioxidants in it, like yerba mate does.
Yeah,
and
sure.
green tea and black tea does.
Yeah, or dark chocolate that has plenty of caffeine.
Right.
There you go. Similar.
So, they have recommended that when you get into the altitude, that one of the things that helps you is to make sure that you take lots of coca leaf.
Uh-huh.
And so I did. And I found that while it was in my system, like when I would take coca leaf tea or chew the coca candy or take the coca extracts, for those periods of time, my lungs felt like I could breathe. My bronchioles would open up. Mm-hmm. I'd feel a little perkier, a little more kind of refreshed, in the same way I would if I had a nice hot black tea. It would kind of made you feel a little bit refreshed. So it was very helpful for my athletic performance as I was hiking and going up and down the hills and stuff like that. Uh-huh. And so I will say this, another pro tip is when you or if you go to Peru, make sure that you don't shy away from that. It's not an addictive thing. It's not a damaging thing to your brain. It's perfectly healthy to have the coca leaf. And it's very different from doing the drug cocaine. Very different. Mm-hmm. So I just want to emphasize that. It's not a huge high like the way a drug would be. It's definitely an herb. And you can have multiple cups of it throughout the day, and it doesn't create any kind of addiction, no cravings, no headaches. It's not going to be one of those situations where you have to worry about that. A coca leaf was really wonderful. It helped my digestion.
Okay, cool.
And the other thing that's combined with it sometimes is something called munya. Munya. And the munya is another green herb. Kind of looked a little bit like a rosemary or something like that. But it's not rosemary. It's a minty kind of eucalyptus-y, minty kind of aroma. Okay. And it really helped to open my lungs. So often I would get a munya and coca leaf tea, and it really helped.
Excellent.
There's even, out of curiosity, I tried to, they have pisco sour, right? So
Okay.
I asked for a coca sour.
Okay.
And it was delicious.
Okay. Cool. Great.
So anyway, just wanted to say that.
Yeah, it's enough coca leaf for a cup of tea, not 3 barrels of coca leaves, or something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
3 barrels, which is what it takes to produce however much
I'm
cocaine
sure,
it is.
Some lines, whatever.
and to kind of exemplify that point, I mean, you remember mawang, right? Ephedra.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, mawang is where they derive ephedrine, and ephedrine is one of the main chemicals in methamphetamines, speed.
Right.
It's one of the ways that you create it. But you have to go through a special chemical process to create that, so it's not the same.
Yeah. And then it's similar as pseudoephedrine, which is in your cough syrups and things like that are now restricted.
Yep.
When you buy those over the counter.
Yep.
But yeah.
And I just kind of felt like I should mention that because I remember there were a couple of older folks who were having a hard time. I said, "Hey, have you tried the coca tea?" And they kind of looked at me like it was taboo.
Yeah.
And I thought, what? Everyone here. I don't want to say, hey, everybody's doing it. You should do it too.
Yeah.
But it's kind of true. Everybody's doing it.
Hold
you should
them
do
down.
it too.
Yeah.
But peer pressure, right?
Yeah.
But no, it was great, and I was really glad I got to try that and experience what that was like. I thought that was kind of neat. As I will tell you a little bit later, there was another sacred herb that I tried there that was very powerful too in its own way. But yeah, that was definitely one of them. And they have herbally infused liquors there as well that the Indians will sell, and sometimes they do a little ritual with you. Like on one of the trips, this Incan gal came and did a little ritual with us, and we shared shots. And I remember buying a flask of this herbally infused liquor, and I thought, okay, I cannot wait to bring it back to my boys. We do
awesome.
some of that together.
Yeah, sounds
looking
good.
forward to that.
Okay.
You'll like the flavor of it too. It's nice.
That sounds great.
Really
in like Chinese medicine and like Korea especially, they do a lot of herbal infused liquors there too.
Yeah.
Like in wintertime, they'll have like a lot of what we would call kidney yang tonics, like hot herbs, and they soak them in liquor and they drink them in winter. For like, my knees are hurting. They call them like buyaks in Korea. And they drink those things, and like they're good for their back pain, their knee pain in the winter, and stuff like that. So it's traditions all over the place.
More reason to go to Korea than ever now.
Yeah, sounds good. Kimchi and buyaks. Yeah, sounds hot and tasty.
Love it. And the reason why I went to Iquitos was not just to see Iquitos. I think we talked about this, that there was an individual there that I wanted to see and spend some time with at a retreat. This retreat was a spiritual retreat. And the retreat was designed to give people a safe space to get away and have the experience of being with a shaman, a real shaman, eating a special diet, getting herbal prescriptions to help you heal, and the herbal prescription was matched with a kind of a spiritual, psychological prescription too. So I went there. It's called the Kapitari Retreat.
Okay,
and it was very affordable, considering that the plant medicines are expensive, and and it's a week long. It's about a week long.
Sure.
So I went there, and it was exciting. I felt really excited to be on the Amazon River. I kept hoping to see like an alligator, a crocodile, or something like that.
Yeah.
Anaconda, right?
Yeah, caiman. Whatever.
And but you go deep in this jungle, and the Kapitari Retreat is run by a man named Don Luis. We called him Don Lucho.
Okay.
And he was a wonderfully humble, wise older gentleman, probably mid to late 60s.
Okay.
And he owned a plantation, a cacao, not coca, but a cacao.
Cacao.
Which is chocolate, by the way.
Sounds good.
Plantation.
Wow, that's great.
And so he has this plantation, Kapitari Retreat, and there are these different bungalows and places where people sleep and a common area where people eat. And all the workers there were kind, sweet, friendly, helpful. The food was great, except when we had to go on our dieta, which is the special diet you go on to avoid any kind of interactions with the plant medicines he's going to give you. So it's very bland.
Mm-hmm.
And
clear bland diet.
Bland as it gets, man.
Wow. So
it's light.
Rice and like plantains and
rice, plantains, no spices at all, no pepper, no salt, no sugar.
Okay.
Very low fat.
Okay.
Like no extra oil or anything like that. Any bit of meat that you got was a tiny little piece, like a piece of fish. And I say piece of fish, I mean like a piece of fish that was 1.5 inches or 2 inches long and by 2 inches wide.
Wow.
And lots, veggies, small. Maybe some shredded cabbage and tomatoes and some, it was very, very bland. And you had a little bit of fruit and you only ate once or twice a day.
Okay.
Maybe a very bland soup.
Okay. So just a real meager diet.
Yeah. I think the idea is cool off the nervous system, make you more sensitive.
Okay.
And take less energy into your digestion and more energy into everything else.
Which is very interesting. Didn't we do that at Vipassana?
Yes.
You're eating a simpler diet than usual. And you're eating twice a day.
Although I will take the Vipassana food any day of the week.
Yeah,
because it was pretty.
Sounds like a better.
It was pretty decent.
Little better
actually.
meal. Yeah,
there's still some flavor in there,
Yeah.
especially because I did it in Australia and I could have things like Vegemite, which most people hate, but I love.
Yeah. Men at work sang about she gave me a Vegemite sandwich or something. Because they're in
I just
Australia.
know the song "The Black Death," which is about Vegemite.
Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, I'd love to share a little bit about that experience.
Please do, because I think this is very interesting to a lot of people to hear how this went. So
there's a lot of buzz about ayahuasca these days, right?
Yeah. You hear it, you see it about in documentaries and things like that, and you hear celebrities talking about.
So I was very curious about what it would be like if I were to take ayahuasca in these settings, because as you know, I'm very interested in indigenous spirituality, and I'm game for whatever it takes, even if it's something like delving deeply into my own shadows or whatever it is. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, very cool.
So I went in with that idea that I would work on some specific things to heal. I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I should have some idea of what I'm going to work on. So I picked some things, some personal things I thought would be great for me to work on. And you go there, Don Lucho introduces himself. He's a sweetheart of a person. And then he walks you around his plantation and he shows you all the plants. And he says, look, I want to connect you with the plants. I want to introduce you to the plants and put your energy, your spirit in alignment and allyship, or whatever you call it, with these plants, because they are living things and there's a spirit that goes along with them. And I want you to begin that process of connecting with them. So he walked us around, he showed us the ayahuasca vines and described that there were different kinds of ayahuasca and which ones had, some of them were for one thing and some of them are non-edible and the whole process of that. So he got us and took us around and talked about how some of the herbs would affect you and how good they are, and his whole plan for what he wanted with the retreat and what he wanted to do. And
so the idea is some of it's ayahuasca, but other medicines and things he's giving you that just are like healing for your body.
Absolutely. And for your emotions.
Yeah.
So then you have a meeting, you have a private meeting with this shaman, and you tell him what your concerns are and what you're looking to do and what you're trying to heal and what you would hope to get out of the week there. And he takes it in, he listens to you. And then he also goes inwardly, closes his eyes and kind of like checks in, probably connecting with his spirit in a way. And he reflects, and then he gives you something. And then he prescribes, he'll write out a prescription that you're going to give to the doctor that's there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then you go to the doctor takes your vitals.
Okay.
He asks you some questions, and it's literally like a jungle nurse center.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's got all the first aid kits and and he does all that, and then he gives you the extracts of the herbs that are in your formula, and then he writes it down so that every day you come in twice a day.
Okay.
And he gives you your daily doses.
This is great. Yeah, I'm all excited about this.
It's pretty cool.
It's like Chinese medicine to me.
Yeah, and
it's cool. Peruvian medicine.
It's pretty nasty.
Sure.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But you go in with the attitude of, you know what? These flavors, as you know, they're going to have energetic properties to them. They're going to stimulate something chemically in my body. And there's the chemical properties of these herbs.
Yeah.
And he had this opinion that I don't give you boiled herbs for this.
Okay.
These are pressed extracts.
Okay.
Because I want you to have the uncooked, direct experience of the energetic properties of these plants into your system to influence you on a kind of an energetic level.
Sure. Like you're getting fresh squeezed juice.
Absolutely. So it's pretty strong.
Boiled juice. Yeah.
Yeah. The things that he combined and stuff. And then you gradually eat less and less, and you're taking these plant substances. And then when it comes time to actually do the ritual for the first time, I was there, and we all kind of met, and you go in with this mindset. First he does a little purification for you. He bathes you in this special flower water. And he does that. He says some prayers, and he cleanses you to help you. And he asks you to kind of very lightly pat it off so you don't wipe it all off. And then you get redressed, and you go into the maloka. The maloka is this big central temple that everybody meets at. And there's pads to lay down on and Mexican blanket kind of things, Peruvian blankets to sit on. And then there's buckets.
Buckets. Oh, boy. Buckets.
And
That's
some of you
kind
may
of
have already
ominous.
guessed what those buckets are for.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah. But to keep you from having to guess, they're there to collect your vomit.
So when you take said ayahuasca, you vomit into these buckets?
It is almost guaranteed that people who take the medicine will initially have nausea, very intense nausea, and possibly stomach cramps.
Okay.
It can go north or it can go south.
Okay.
But before you even do that, you kind of have a little bit of a preparation, and that is that he has you practice cleaning yourself out by giving you large amounts of hot water.
Huh. Okay.
Well, warm water.
Yeah.
After drinking this half a shot of, I think it's tobacco juice or something like that.
Wow.
It makes you very nauseous.
Okay.
But I don't vomit very easily.
Okay. Sure.
So I had to drink a hell of a lot of water before I vomited.
So he gives you a shot of tobacco juice and then a bunch of hot water.
Yeah, I had
to make you vomit.
I had to have 4 liters of water before I vomited. 4 liters.
Okay.
And you have to drink it as quickly as you can.
Okay.
It took a lot of willpower. I had to really buckle down. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it, but what I wanted was the result. I wanted to be able to experience what it might be like to go through this process and go through that kind of training. And so I just did
experience it the right way, the traditional way that they would do
you know
it.
What?
Yeah.
Any amount of negativity, any amount of I can't, any amount of that limiting belief is only going to get in my way. And thank God for my NLP training and my martial arts training and all that stuff, because it was like, you know what, just do it.
Okay.
This is what you're here to do. You can talk about it later. It's
jump
fine. Jump
Yeah.
in, do it.
Yeah.
And so I did. And then when we did the ritual, you start off and there's this kind of a healing, cleansing moment where you're going to be saged, or they'll burn an herb called Palo Santo, which is copalo.
Sure. It's kind of nice aroma.
Wonderful scent. And we did our kind of initial prayer, focus, meditation, candle, etc. And when the shaman comes in and begins the process, there's kind of like an opening of the ceremony, opening of the temple kind of thing, where he kind of calls in whatever he's calling in and creates a space.
Okay.
And he then invites each person to take in their first dose of ayahuasca. Now he has already taken his right there.
Okay.
But then it's your turn.
Okay. So he's practicing what he preaches.
Yeah.
right?
The whole
doing it
time
there
he's
with
doing
you.
this, he has taken multiple shots of ayahuasca as well.
Okay.
And he doesn't vomit.
Huh. Interesting.
He clears his throat every so often and spits in the bucket, but he doesn't vomit.
Okay.
Same with his son, who was there making music, which, by the way, was a wonderful gift.
Okay.
Because his son was, I think the music is what helped me get through the discomfort.
Okay.
Just hearing the chanting, the music, and the different instruments and all that helped me to have something to concentrate my mind on. So here we go. I went up and I had this mindset of whatever is supposed to be, whatever's supposed to come, please open me. Please, if you need to rip me open, whatever you need to do, or do it gently if you can. But I'm here to get whatever I need to get, and please, I want
submitted.
this. I submit to whatever this higher wisdom is, or anything, no matter how difficult it is, I submit. And I was preparing for something terribly bitter and disgusting. And I saw him pour this thick, black, greenish brown stuff into this cup. It looks nasty.
And how big is this cup?
It's like a shot glass, because every shaman cooks it to a different level.
Okay.
So he cooks it to a concentrate.
All right. Got it.
And so it's very, very potent. And I take it in ceremoniously, and I cannot believe, boy, I'm just talking about it right now. It's making me feel weird.
Okay.
Like a saliva collecting in my mouth.
You remember.
I remember that nausea. But I drank it in. And at the time, let me go back to, at that time, I was surprised. I thought, this isn't that bad. It tastes kind of sweet.
Okay.
In fact, it tastes like molasses.
Yeah, molassesy kind of a thing.
It wasn't bitter at all. And I thought, it's delicious.
Oh, let me have some more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I went back and we began the process, I began to pray and meditate and kind of get myself in the zone with the music. And I just kept kind of saying, open, open, open. Okay. I'm ready. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm present.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever is to be, I'm here. And I'm ready. Make me more ready.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful place, because I went into a nice meditative space with that. But nothing was happening. They went around and around. Everybody was finished. And all of a sudden people were puking left and right, really loudly all around me. And I didn't feel nauseous. I didn't feel anything other than that I was praying and meditating. So a few hours pass, and then I hear, okay, lovelies, anybody who would like to take their second dose can come on up and take a second dose. You are welcome to come up, but please go in order.
Okay.
Like go in the order that you received. And as soon as she said second dose, I felt this massive nausea kick in almost instantly. And I just leaned over, and it was like a dragon spewing fire.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Out it came.
Yeah, it was amazing. My whole back arched up, and it literally picked me up off, kind of off the ground a bit. And it was just my hands and my toes.
Okay.
So I was in a form of a triangle.
Oh,
My butt and spine up in the air.
Yeah.
And it was like heaving power. Like my abdominal muscles just went, whoa.
Okay. And out it came.
It was just whoom, coming out.
Wow.
And then when I was done with that, people were kind of laughing because it was so loud. Okay. It's kind of like shook everybody out of their.
Well, hey, if you're going to vomit,
zone,
go out guns blazing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So then when I was done with that, I got up and I'm like, you know what? I'm not a wuss. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go take my second dose. So I walked up and I took my second dose.
It was tasty anyway. Right?
Yeah. And then of course the process of every time I took it was vomiting. But I knew that I had heard many times that the vomiting is part of the purification process. And I think there's a physical purification and there's a psychological and spiritual purification.
Sure. Yeah,
I looked at that. Hey, it is possible to drink this and not get nauseous. I know that. I felt it. And and the shaman does it all the time.
Yeah.
So it is possible. And I've read this before. And I also read that, if you're feeling those woozy feelings, that you could look at this as kind of an energetic training, that you're practicing using this as a tool for transmuting the experience. And as being raised Catholic, you learn a lot about offering up your pain.
Sure.
Offer up your suffering.
Yeah.
Whether or not I'm a practicing Catholic or not is irrelevant. I do remember that training, and that's been useful.
Yeah.
I think in martial arts I did that.
Sure. Yeah. And like there is, some helpful physiology around that.
Yeah.
If you're vomiting, you're not eating, you're not digesting. So you're going to go into ketosis, and ketones stimulate neurogenesis.
Yeah.
Ketones decrease seizures, which ancient people would have often thought of as being spirit possession. And so, there's some beneficial physiology around some of that.
Ayurvedic medicine has panchakarma, which are the 5 works, right?
That's right.
And vamana, which is the same word as vomit, right? Vamana is the step in the process where you take in either licorice tea, large amounts of licorice tea, or salt water, warm salt water, and you encourage vomiting to remove what they call mucus from the upper parts of your digestion.
It's part of Chinese medicine too. We don't really use it anymore. Like at least in the United States, it's not something that we use just because it sort of comes along with a negative connotation, unfortunately. But still, same in both those traditions. There is the idea of vomiting, and it's a way of removing, quote unquote, phlegm.
Yeah.
Well, vomiting is going to come from centers in your brainstem. So it's ancient, lizard brain. We're always talking about the lizard brain. Vomiting centers are from your brainstem. So you are activating very ancient neurological pathways when you puke.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
It is what it is.
Well, isn't it a very primal experience when you vomit?
Is.
You forget everything else.
Yeah. Talk about being mindful. Yeah. When you're puking, you are very mindful.
There's the natural question that people could ask about it, which is, why on earth would you want to go through all that?
Right.
Why would you want to feel nauseous and vomit?
Yeah.
And why would you want to take a nasty thing into your body repeatedly and eat a terrible diet? And, why would you do that? And so I'm here to say that there's a lot of value in even the things that you don't like. There's a lot of value in the things, sometimes especially in the things you don't like. They provide you opportunities.
But when you're feeling ill, like in a case like this, you take ayahuasca or the tobacco juice, when you're in a state of vomiting, there's also a certain feeling of total surrender that you have to reach. Like when you feel like you're going to vomit, like, oh God, I don't want to throw up. Oh no, your mouth gets watery, and you're like, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. And then it starts to happen. You're like, fuck it. Here it goes. Here it goes. And you have to reach a point of such surrender that you're like, I'm not in control of this. I wonder what else I'm not in control of. No, perhaps in the case of ayahuasca, that's followed by visions and thoughts of exactly what you're not in control of. Right. But I'm sure, there's, but I could see, even though that's unpleasant, I could see there being some value in getting into that kind of state of mind of surrender, as you're approaching a potential learning moment.
It's the price of admission. There's always some kind of price to pay.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, even to learn something, you have to pay attention. So there's always something. So this is just the price of admission, and it costs a little bit, but it's worth it in my book. But that kind of brings me to the next part that I wanted to convey, is that even though I did this several times and I took stronger and stronger doses, because he gives you more and more, I didn't have the visionary experience that many people say. I've listened to Joe Rogan podcasts and listened to all these things and watched DMT, the Spirit Molecule, and read most of the book. My mother gave me that book years ago before the documentary came out. And, you know, and I've been reading about ayahuasca for ever, probably 25 years or something.
Yeah.
And I was always expecting that it would be this really powerful psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
I've had powerful psychedelic experiences, but to be honest, I didn't have any psychedelic experience.
So nothing happened.
Nothing.
You had all the vomiting and the misery.
Yeah.
Without the
that's it.
The visionary part.
I was in a trance state, but not because of the drug. And I say that because I've been on a lot of meditation retreats. I've done a lot of, you know, ceremonial rituals.
Sure,
and I've done,
you know the difference.
I know the difference. And it just wasn't a psychedelic state. It really wasn't. And I had maybe feared that would be the case.
Sure,
because I had tried to smoke DMT, which is the active ingredient. Dimethyltryptamine is the active ingredient in ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is just a potion with primarily ayahuasca and some other plants in it, MAO inhibitors and things to help make it orally digestible and to make the experience last longer.
Yeah.
But that never worked. So to this day, no matter how many times I've tried it and Salvia divinorum and all these different things, it's never had that effect. So I was just sort of hoping, maybe fingers crossed, that this would be it, that this would be a profound melting of my ego and reality, and I would cleanse the doors to my perception and see myself in a different way, or maybe surrender to an even deeper level of being. But it just didn't happen. What I did experience, though, was the act of purposely putting myself in a powerful space with a powerful shaman who I felt respect for. And I used the opportunity to harness my concentration, my ability to pray and set intention and meditate. And that I got a little headway with. Like, I feel like I got deeper with that. And the thing is, when I did this, and this is what happens when you go there to the retreat, is every day, the following day, at some point you do a powwow, so to speak, where you get together with the shaman and you go around in a circle and you share your experiences or whatever you'd like to share. And then you get feedback from the shaman.
Okay.
And every day I gave feedback. It was just feedback about my experience. And he said, you know, when he heard that, he said, I'm gonna watch you really carefully now, because I see what you're doing and I want to watch you really carefully. And so he did, and he was going to give me stronger and stronger doses and all that. But although he did that, I didn't have a more potent experience. Yeah. However, each time when I shared my experience, he had this sort of look of, like, a very pleasant look, like it's good. What you're doing is good. And then when he spoke, and it was translated because I didn't understand all of his Spanish, the feeling that I got from him and the words that were translated to me was that basically you're getting exactly what you're needing right now, and keep trusting, keep having faith in grandmother ayahuasca and faith in God and all that. Just continue on the path. You're getting what you are here to get, and it's happening. So just if you want to allow yourself to go deeper, do it. Just keep trusting. And so that's exactly what I did. I took the advice as meaningful, and I took it as important, and I did that. Every day when I did the ritual, I would say something like I said in the beginning, but deeper. If you'd like to show me, if you'd like to open my vision, if you'd like to reveal, I'm deeply willing, desiring, whatever it is that you do, I respect and I value that it's going to cure me, help me, modify my understanding. And if there's anything that you want to prompt me to do so that I can be more open, I'm open to hearing that too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to trust you, and may all of the discomforts that I feel transform me in some way. And I'm here to be as equanimous as I possibly can, allowing what is to be to be. And each time it was another variation of that.
Yeah.
And I did have a really great spiritual experience when he came around and he blessed me and things. It was potent. Mm-hmm. I felt really, really deeply touched.
Yeah.
At a spiritual, psychological, philosophical level. I think he was a genuine thing.
Yeah.
And everyone around me had incredible visions and told me about it.
Yeah.
And shared with the group. So I would go again, but I don't think I would take the medicine. I think I would just be a participant in the ritual.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that, I think I've tested it enough times. You take something several times, you kind of know.
If there's no effect, then
it's going to work.
Yeah, you sort of know, like, hey doc, that pain medicine doesn't work on me. Give me something else.
Right. It's just not
how it is.
My thing. But I still am glad that I did it.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And the people there were great. I have nothing bad to say about that. That was great. I would recommend this retreat.
Nice.
They were beautiful people.
Well, I think something's worth saying here. There are going to be other people, seekers that want to go and have those kinds of experiences, whether it's on a trip to Peru or some other way. And I think sometimes it's a good lesson for people to hear that sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and that it is okay to have transformative and spiritual experiences when those things don't work out for a person, because quite often
it may not go as you expect, but it might be exactly what you need.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Of course, when there are individuals that feel that they're seekers and that they have a need to use visionary substances and to gain insights and have some transformation, then those people could also benefit from the idea that and sometimes you can have good transformations without those things. So I'll share one of my own. I was in India. This was in 1993-ish. I was in India, and I was part of I was with a group of several young men, and we were there for spiritual purposes. And this was at an ashram in India. So there's no ayahuasca involved here, folks. Nothing like that. It was just good old fashioned, being in a spiritually minded, rather disciplined kind of an environment. And somehow one day, spontaneously, I'd been sitting for, a long time. When where I was at, you would sit for hours and hours and hours waiting for, the teacher to come out. And I was so disciplined during that time when I was there. I was so focused that there was one particular afternoon where I sort of spontaneously had this beautiful, joyous, warm, heart-opening experience. And this experience was very hot, and I felt warm, but it was a comfortable warmth in the midst of hot India, right? And I felt my chest sort of glowing and felt tremendous happiness, in my chest that sort of spread and permeated through my whole body. And it wasn't anything that was like, sometimes people hear, if anybody's hearing me tell this story, it would be too easy to get the wrong idea that this was some like super mystical kind of a thing. It wasn't. It was way more down to earth than people might visualize or imagine. But it was also very real. It was very visceral, very physical. I felt tremendous happiness and joy and potential when I was in that state. And I remember thinking to myself, this is such a beautiful state of being that the world could be burning and crashing down right now and I'd be okay. Wow. I specifically remember that, which means that was a very powerful state of mind to feel like the whole world could be crumbling and I would still be happy.
Content.
Yeah, yeah. And it wasn't like an exciting kind of happiness. Like you just said, it was a content happiness. It was a very warm, peaceful happiness. It was energetic, but it was very calm energy. And it was a wonderful, loving space to be in. I would describe that space as being similar to descriptions of people taking ecstasy, MDMA, things like that.
Okay.
But this was not that. This was just day after day after day of sitting and contemplating, and I had this one amazing experience, and I've never had that full experience happen again.
Wow.
I've had hints of it.
Uh-huh.
It was almost like it showed me what's possible. So I've noticed snippets of it throughout my life, but I've never experienced the full thing again.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and that was 1993, and this is 2018.
Wow.
So it's been a long time.
It sounds like at least a portion of what you're talking about is simplicity.
Yeah, it's noticing the goodness of everyday natural beingness.
Yeah.
And that's what triggers that feeling that comes out. It's very distinct. I can't control it. It's not something I can go, well, let me sit down and make that feeling happen again, because I've tried and it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It has to happen on its own when it wants to. It's like the fruit ripens, the flower's ready, it blooms, it's just one of those kinds of things. I never know when it's going to happen, but
I think you should
to
get down and with tweezers and pull on the grass blades
Okay.
really hard.
Try to make them grow quicker.
Yes, I think
Okay.
that's an effective strategy for getting grass to grow.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You pull on the grass or stare at it really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that works with boiling pots of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Kind of on the topic of not always getting what you want. There's been this idea that I've been thinking about, and it's been very stimulating to me lately. I think it's something that I've been needing to hear, and so it's something I've been sharing a lot.
Oh yeah, cool.
And it relates to a biblical passage. It really gets me thinking. There's certain scriptures that I think are really, really powerful, and it doesn't have to be the Bible per se, but in this particular case, it's the Bible.
Okay.
Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth. And to him that knocketh it shall be opened. I don't know where I heard this, but somebody was telling me, or maybe I read somewhere, that a better translation of the original verses is such that it would say, ask and keep on asking. Seek and keep on seeking. Knock and keep on knocking. And I really thought about that.
Wow.
I thought, by asking and continuing to ask, what are you doing? You are refining your ability to ask. You're refining your ability to formulate your intention. You are giving yourself the gift of worthiness. You are also working on your congruence, on whether you truly do align with that thing that you're asking for.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And by seeking, it's not about the destination necessarily, what you will find, but you need something to look for in order to find something. And as we've heard before, the journey of 1,000 steps begins under one's foot, or it's not about the destination, it's about the journey getting there. I mean, there's so many things that we've learned about that. And so seek and keep on seeking is a principle for life. Mm-hmm. If you're not continually seeking, you're slacking. You are not refining who you are. And so seek and keep on seeking also refines your ability to continue on the path of whatever it is you're seeking.
Yeah.
And it also could be that by the time you get where you're going, it's not even what you wanted, or perhaps along the way, you're changing your coordinates to match a changing you, a changing self, a changing desire that is becoming more and more refined.
Yeah, yeah.
And therefore, you are becoming a different person as you seek it. And the thing you think you're asking for, well, may not be what you wanted anymore. And what you actually get might be what you needed instead of what you wanted. And that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea of knocking and continue to knock, right? Keep on knocking. It's like, you don't just knock once. If you're really serious about someone opening the door, you knock and you make sure people hear you when you knock. And you make sure that you don't just assume that they heard you, because maybe they're in the bathroom, or maybe they're in the back, or in the shower, or having sex with their lovely wife, or whatever it was, but they didn't hear you. So are you going to give up? You're not going to keep knocking, really? How serious are you about this? So it's less about whether some magical guy in the sky is giving it to you, but what are you doing to get it? Are you really serious about this? Then knock, damn it. And you're opening the door to what? To a new experience, a new mindset, or something that you want out of yourself, or you're opening up new possibilities. So keep on fucking knocking. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
I like that interpretation of it way better.
Yeah.
Because
I
that
do
is
too.
changing you.
That's great. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's askers that receive. It's knockers that get the door open.
Yeah.
You know, it's, wow, that's beautiful. Well done.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, so it's
like
been
that.
something that's been running around in my head for a few weeks. And
yeah,
I thought it kind of fit with that, because you have to ask yourself, are you serious? I don't mean serious, not funny, but are you sincere about it? And when I went there, I was sincere. That much I know. That much I am positive of, that I went into that ritual with the idea that I am a true and sincere seeker of understanding. And I'm not expecting this quote unquote drug, this chemical, this potion to do it for me and to do all the work. I'm open to it doing it. If it truly is that I need to have faith that it's going to do it, I have some faith in that. But really what I have faith in is that I'm ready to do whatever I need to do to get there.
Yeah.
And maybe that is the message that's reflecting back to me, that I've done these kinds of things all my life, and maybe that's not really necessary.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the fuel, I'm the lens, I'm the tool that can actually unlock the next piece, and it's not a substance or a thing, it's me.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So maybe that's it.
And it's interesting, because that what you're describing, that parallels my story. When I was in India, I really was an honest seeker when I was there. I really was knocking. I really was asking. Sincerely, I was asking. And the answer didn't come from an external guru. The answer was my own door opening from the inside out. It was an interesting lesson. Very interesting lesson. Yeah, beautiful stuff.
You've been listening to The Authenticity Show with your hosts, Carlos Casados and Satch Purcell. Special thanks to Carlos on this one for his in-depth, on-location reporting. Wow. What a cool adventure. And I'm sure we only heard the tip of the iceberg, so we'll probably have to have another episode about this at some point. The show is produced by Oliver Althoen. That's me. Our theme music is composed by Oliver Althoen. That's me too. Make sure to subscribe to our show on iTunes, Android Market. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. It really does help. And leave a comment. If you like the show, that stuff helps. Thank you in advance for that. And thank you for listening to this episode, and have an authentic day.